Greetings and salutations. So as you can see, we spoke about it earlier on Twitter, and I'm pretty excited to show that we're starting to embrace the new technology of OBS, considering that August 1, it sounds like the old Google process will be outdated and will be mostly gone. Excellent. I'm glad to see the chat is working. I'm going to change that over to live chat so I can make sure that I see everyone. Hello, Stacy. Hello, Mandy. Evil Monkey. Hello. I appreciate everybody jumping on like this, and I appreciate everybody. If you could just be patient with us. We're trying with this new OBS technology, kind of in the middle of a lot of big things are in transition and in flux around here. So, but yet that still doesn't stop the information that's coming out right now, and it doesn't stop the work that we do here. So, ultimately, this is going to be probably a short. It's going to be a short one, but like we talk about,
ultimately, this is going to be
we mostly try to meld the two worlds because I think there's a lot behind it inside of that. Look at the new interface. It looks really good. Exciting stuff. I hope OBS, it's a new software that you can see here, so that the channel has a new look and feel to it, and it'll be more interactive. And as you can see, we already have one of the articles that I'm going to talk about from Popular Mechanics. And it's talking about To the Stars Academy. I might as well get right into it. It's talking about To the Stars Academy and Tom DeLonge. And it's talking about what I had mentioned a few episodes earlier about metamaterials being out there. Alien metamaterials from either a craft or a piece of a craft. And I mentioned at the time that my contact had told me about when the Admiral Wilson leaks came out, and that was a few months back, and it was announced by a lot of big UFO channels, including Richard Dolan, that when they came out, that there was an agency, a private subcontractor that was in possession, and the rumor was that the agency was somehow connected to or was owned by Bigelow. So, this makes it all the more interesting, right? So, anyway, it says here, last week, To the Stars announced that it had acquired several pieces of metamaterials from investigative journalist Linda Moulton Howe, and that's a great shout out for her. Per press release, the metals are reported to have come from an advanced aerospace vehicle of unknown origin, which is kind of a nice way of saying alien. Quote, the structure and composition of these materials are not from any known existing military or commercial application. Steve Justice, COO of To the Stars and former head of advanced systems at Lockheed Martin Skunk Works. So there you go. Oh, Buster, how's it going? I'm glad you could make it. I just decided to go ahead and give this thing a try right now, and I found that we could embed the articles here. And it's really interesting stuff, and I'm really enjoying the technology. And I love that we can display the chat here as well. So that's just going forward. We're going to try different looks as we go on and different things. But the substance and the style and the sort of core mission statement that we have here, that's not going to change. That we're going to do the best that we can to give you the most mainstream articles as possible whenever we cite something, as well as whenever we try to go ahead and make speculations and all kinds of other things. So that's what we're going to do here, and we're just going to be honest with you, like we've always been, about how we get it and everything else. So also too, with that, what came out hours ago, hot off the presses, was a podcast or a YouTube channel that I particularly enjoyed called A Culture. And I was on it when I was way back in the day when I first got on YouTube and was doing my We Died in 2012 series. And on it is an academic called Aaron French, and it's episode 135, Aaron French, The Mandela Effect, Conspirituality, New Memory, and the Convergence of Everything. And inside of it, too, I tweeted that out, the link to the Occulture podcast. I also have the link inside of the description here, but also inside of their description, and I tweeted that out, is the link to his academic paper. Now, I'm taking a chance because, one, I trust Occulture podcast and their way of their point of view, I agree with, but also, too, the conversation from Mr. French and Ryan was, it sounded as if they were really trying to hammer out what is it about memory, what is it about our understanding in time space, and they were asking really relevant, important questions that we ask here all the time. So it was a really refreshing. It was a really refreshing podcast, in that it was what I hope is more people do here, is they dig deeper, they look for more profound understandings of the Mandela Effect and the interface between our being and the outside world as we see it. Now, the only thing I would add to that perhaps it is in the paper from Mr. French, and I think he's a PhD candidate. I would add perhaps checking out, obviously, the Gateway document, if he happens to hear this either way. And I would say the idea of consciousness coming first, and the idea of reality itself being a lot more malleable, seemingly, than what we were taught, because the understanding of reality, and one of the mantras we have here, is in large part is because it's what we were taught. So those are the two big things that are going on right now. Mostly what I wanted to do was get this out here, take a look at it, and see how everyone likes it. And so far, it's looking pretty good. And that's right, Buster. Consciousness is the source of all reality. That's right. And I just wanted to share this with everybody, the new look that we have here and some of the features that we're going to have going forward. And if anyone has any suggestions, let me know, or any kind of technical advice, obviously. But it's been okay. Angelia is saying on the mobile device it's a little difficult to see. Oh, that's a bummer. Because I do most of my stuff other than the actual show itself. I'm usually on a device. So okay, noted. I'm wondering if maybe it has something to do with the background. Something like that. It's tiny. Yeah, that I'm noticing that too. I might be able to, but I don't want it to take up the whole page, so I'll have to figure out something between, thank you, Brenda. I'm going to have to figure out between something about maybe showing less and then having a larger font, or I don't know. We'll work on it. We'll just work on it as we go. But two important pieces of information are inside of there. There's still other pieces of information on Twitter that I want to talk about and I want to dedicate a lot of time to. And I'm probably going to do that tomorrow. And what I want to do tomorrow is going to deal more with some of the scientific papers and some of the scientific articles that actually Buster found a couple of days ago, and I think they're far more profound, and I wrote some notes down on them. So not that I'm downplaying what we have right here, because one, we knew the metamaterials were out there, but it's important that mainstream articles like this are advancing. And like I said, if you're paying attention, like I was talking about on on Chris Jericho's Talk is Jericho, is if we can get more and more people to see this evolution as it's happening in real time, because this is yet another one of those benchmarks. We're in Popular Mechanics, and by no means is this a tabloid, and they're talking about metamaterial of unknown origin. Now, anyone can see that metamaterial of unknown origin is alien in the traditional sense. So that's it's just something that, let's see. How can anyone be genuine if reality is mysteriously ambiguous and not verifiable? Good point. I don't know. I'm trying to be as genuine as possible at all times. Let's see, what else? What do we have here, you guys? Something I've been contemplating lately is whether there are intelligent entities that are extremely advanced at modifying the program of our simulated holographic reality. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the idea of the Mandela Effect, and they actually talk about it in the Occulture podcast, is that it's technologically based, and that it's intentional in terms of it being human beings that are whether it's CERN, D-Wave, all of those traditional things. And I've always left wiggle room that it could potentially be a kind of a side effect, if you were, of passing between dimensions, perhaps. But modification of our holographic reality itself, obviously, is a very valid idea, and that perhaps the modification of the realities themselves, we could go back to the idea that it was always happening, and now that we have the tools to talk to one another, in disparate areas, geographically and otherwise, that we can spot these kinds of things. And indeed, that could be in part some of the rolling back that I've thought about before out loud. I'm not entirely sure that's actually the case, but certainly it would make for a good case, I think. So it is worth it. So let's see. I've experienced skipping or repeating of a day, like Chick mentioned. Interesting. See, I haven't had a full day skip before. I've heard that, and I've heard that from a couple of people, but that hasn't happened to me before. But I have experienced full geo changes in terms of it's always been like local geo changes that are in my immediate area. So I don't have to go to something like, I lived in Dover, Delaware for a year back in, 96? And if I were to go back now and something were to be different, I wouldn't have a leg to stand on, even with myself. But if you see local geo changes on, on roads, local roads that you use all the time, then, I think there's more of a chance of you convincing yourself and possibly others. Let's see, Rudolf Steiner and the Eighth Sphere. No, I haven't. I'll check that out. Yeah, I think we do, Jeremy, have the power to modify our own personal holograms. But remember what they say. With doing that, there could be drastic consequences if those changes are too radical. So, but with this out here like this, there's this kind of technology. It opens up a whole new world in terms of us exposing articles, and also too, I think there'll be a way that we can scan some of the CIA and FBI, like the round robin and all of those, and putting those on the display and maybe going through it with people and highlighting it ourselves using this existing technology here. And as we go through maybe the National Archives, I don't know. I know the CIA has a .gov. I know the FBI. I know the Department of the Army, but DHS. But as we go through those documents and those FOIA documents, I'm hoping we can discover those technologies where we can display them here, and we'll be able to actually highlight and go through them together. So that would be really exciting and a lot of fun, I think. And that way we would be very much... it would be more interactive, I think, and it would be much more progressive. And so, also, never forget, we do have Super Chats. Super Chats, they're going to help with this exciting web page that we have envisioned, that we want to put together. And if you can't do that, then the thumbs up, they always help. Please. And also share these if you could. Anything would be excellent and wonderful and very, very helpful to us. So, like I said, I just wanted to try this out, what we're playing around with. And I'm going to go ahead and jump off here, but I will be back on tomorrow. And if we could get those thumbs up, it would be great. And if you haven't subscribed and you're here for the first time, please subscribe and hang out with us and become part of the team and all that. So, all right, everybody, I'm going to jump off here, and hopefully we'll have a smooth close here. I don't know how it works, so we'll see here. This is the first time, right? So I'm going to stop streaming. See you guys tomorrow.